Welcome back to my review of the 1:100 scale full action RX-93 Nu-Gundam. In the first part of the review I went over basic details of the model, accessories and some articulation, so I'll continue with articulation here. For the other skirt armor bits, we have the side skirts. I can actually go up this far on either side, which is great. Unfortunately, because you can't do splits beyond this, which is actually pretty significant, I guess. I mean, the skirt armor going up that far is not necessary, but it's nice just to know that you can go up that far. Especially in case if, I don't know, I guess some of the more mod-inclined owners out there might want to mod the parts, and so they can get extra flexibility, maybe. Now, the model itself can go about that far while still having the feet flat on a surface, so it can't do extremely wide-legged poses, but you know, it's not too bad. Another point of articulation is that the rear sort of shields for the calf thrusters can swivel up and down, and they're straight pegs into polycap, so you can actually rotate them if you wanted to. That's back skirt. What else is there? The waist, you can rotate 360 degrees. No problems. The head can just turn about that much. I mean, the only way you can rotate like this is if you pop the head off the joint a bit. And you can only look down and up that much. So not a lot, but not too bad. All in all, the articulation is, again, yeah, I'd say on par with a first generation high grade model kit from the mid or late 90s. Nothing spectacular, but again, I'm keeping in mind that this thing came out before the advent of master grade kits and things like that. So it's actually, if I look at it that way, it's actually pretty darn decent. The die cast model parts are value added for sure, and definitely necessary for balance for the model. Now, in terms of the details, I didn't panel line or apply stickers or paint to any of the parts. One thing I want to note right now is that the cockpit hatch actually is one last bit of articulation. You can actually open up the cockpit, and I don't know if you can make it out, there's Amuro positioned in there in the pilot's seat, I guess. So that's nice. Now, this red piece is for the cockpit hatch, but because of the way it's so loose, I mean, it will go in there, but move it around a bit and it might fall out. So, I mean, it's staying in now, but yeah, after manipulation it'll fall out. The same thing goes with the top white plastic parts, but those are a couple of parts that if you do get a hold of this model kit, if you don't plan to paint it, definitely glue them in. If you do plan on painting this model, paint everything first, then paint these parts as well to match, then glue them in. I would actually recommend anybody who has this model kit definitely paint it, because the layer or layers of paint and clear coat and top coat and primer will definitely help with the translucency issue that I'm experiencing with this model. Now, in terms of the details, there aren't a lot of grooves for panel lining, but there are some on the skirts, on the legs, even on the soles of the feet, and on the head sculpt. There, move this down here. I'll just take the head off. The head sculpt's pretty good. The eyes are clear, cast in clear green plastic. Everything here you see is basically plastic color, no stickers or anything. Even the part for the sort of the belt buckle plate is two molded pieces, red and then a yellow piece for the V-fin type crest. So it's pretty good, and the details are definitely not bad. The proportions are a bit off compared to the latest Nu-Gundam high grade Universal Century model kit and even the master grade kit, but I mean, it's overall a really good model. Now, in terms of what I would say, I'll summarize my points here. If you were to get this model or had the opportunity to get this model, I think the sort of best candidates for owners would be pretty die-hard model kit enthusiasts who just want to get sort of a more old-fashioned model kit and maybe customize it and do whatever they want with it. Or if you're like a die-hard Nu-Gundam fan, an RX-93 fan, definitely go for it. If you're one of the more I guess modern-minded owners of, you like the better, more current designs, I would say stay away from it. It's a really neat piece of history in terms of Gundam models, but there's nothing in it that really stands out to me and makes me think, oh wow, you gotta get it. But like I said earlier, there are some really neat little innovations, like the die cast parts in the limbs, like the calves, the pelvis, and the shoulders, that are pretty neat. Even though the plastic's made of like lightweight materials, like light thin plastics. The die-cast parts actually give this quite a heft, so it's nice. I mean, it has a nice hand feel. It feels hefty, it feels substantial, and it's good in that respect. If you're the kind of action figure or model collector who likes, you know, robust products, this is going to be something that you probably like. The detail overall is great, you know, for its time. The one sort of criticism I'll give are back here on the back of the calves, these pipings. They go into nothing, and the limbs for the most part are hollow, so when you look in the back here, these are just like open-ended pipes basically, so it looks kind of bad unless you have it bent to conceal the ends of the pipes. So that's one part that, you know, for the more detail-minded people, you might not like that. Again, with the whole straight peg system, every part that's connected is a straight peg into a polycap joint. I don't know how long they'll last, so that's one thing to keep in mind as well if you intend to buy it. Definitely, like I said before, with a lot of the parts that tend to be finicky and fiddly, you might want to cement or glue some parts together when you have it all set up and ready to go for its sort of final display. So again, if you want to paint it, do all the painting and such first and then cement everything together. Certain parts like the red cockpit panel like this, the chest components, you might want to glue in as well. Definitely. Actually, another thing I'll mention right now that I just forgot about, but you know, just remembered, is that a lot of the parts don't fit in exactly flush with each other. There are a lot of seam lines on the side that it's the model that is off the moldings, so that you might have to shave down or sand down some parts to get completely flush surfaces. That's another thing that stands out to me. In assembling this model kit, it's similar to resin kits in that there are a lot of molding flashings that you have to trim and clean off. It's not like modern day, even in no grade, first grade model kits, I don't think they have any significant issues with residual mold trimmings and flash left over. So this is something that if you are someone who has mainly experience with the newer model kits, when you go into getting a model like this, an older model from the mid or early 90s, be aware that there's more work to be done. It's not as bad as like a resin kit where you have to pretty much trim every piece, but yeah, that's another thing to think of. The extra material left over that you have to trim off and clean up during assembly, and also the fact that a lot of parts don't fit in exactly flush to each other. Lines and gaps sometimes will show up, so you might have to cement, or not cement, but use putty, or even cement, I guess, to fill in gaps and then sand them down later to make a smooth surface. That's another thing to keep in mind. But overall, I would say it's a really good model for its time. Not so great for, you know, 2009, and we're almost into 2010 now. So keep that in mind. But it's definitely a nice bit of the past. I definitely enjoyed putting it together. It really gives me a greater appreciation for what we have in our modern model kit designs. A lot of people really do criticize Bandai, and rightfully so, for certain issues that they have in their, you know, model kit production. But at the same time, I think we do have it pretty good these days with a lot of the sort of ease of use in terms of your standard high-grade models. There's not a lot you have to do to make them, you know, very good for presentation. You just put them together, apply a few stickers, and off you go. With these older kits, you still have extra work to do, and so we really do, I think, have it good in terms of modern models, not only by Bandai but other companies as well. It's always getting better and better. So it's a pretty good time to be in the model scene, I think. So thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and you know, like I said, not a lot of people are probably gonna get their hands on it. So at least this will give you a glimpse of an older model kit that you otherwise may not even ever see, or even if you did see it, you probably wouldn't be very inclined to buy it. So here's my review. Enjoy it, and actually, yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody.